Welcome to Sports Fishing on the Fly. Today we will be bringing you a very sought-after version of the EP Baitfish. Brent created this variation for a better profile and the fly swims very well. Let's visit Brent on the vise. We will be tying on a small tarpon hook with white 6/0 thread. The body is EP fibers and pinfish, tan, bright green, and baitfish olive. Flash is yellow pearl diamond wing fiber. The fly is finished with 1/4 ultra eyes added with UV marine goop and black chart plotter marker.
Well, good day, folks, and welcome you to the bench again today. Today I'm going to bring you a Enrico Puglucci fly here. There's baitfish. I'm going to use the Puglucci fibers. I'm tying this more of a hybrid style, kind of like between my baitfish and what Enrico has done. I like the profile I have here on mine. They swim better, push a little more water. The typical Enricos are tied top and bottom. They're pretty flat, so that's the way I prefer to do them. I'm just going to bring that to you. I'm not trying to discount anything that he's tied. The EPs have been a very, very solid fly in the tropics for many, many years. Pretty hard to beat them. I'm going to put a little tarpon hook in this one right here. This is just a heavier shank, but I'm going to be using a nice wide gape fly, like a big game fly for that. And make sure you're using good hooks. That's all I can say. I learned the hard way when I started tying flies. I'll start fishing them, fish with real hard mouths and stuff. I wasn't using. There's better hooks in the market than I was using, and I learned that the hard way. So I ended up retying them all. Okay, we're going to go with I'm using 6/0 wax thread and white just so my thread just blends. I'm taking a few fibers of this is the pinfish. I'm going to tie this one a little more of a color of an actual baitfish, more so than that last one I showed you. It's pretty bright, kind of a tropical color. I'm going to tie that on both sides. We're going to start working on the profile here. I'm just going to thin this down a little bit with running my scissor blade over it. I'm not cutting, I'm just sawing it off, if you will. There we go. Shorten that up a little bit. I use pink diamond braid on the other one. I'm going to be using our diamond wing. I'm going to be using some yellow here on this one. You don't need a whole lot of this diamond wing. It's just very... Enrico used that. I started using it when I seen him do that with Enrico patterns, and it's a really good flash. It's pretty pricey. You don't get a lot, so don't waste it, but you don't need much. Okay, that diamond wing is really bounce the light off really good. Okay, so there's our rear. We're going to come in here now with some tan. Now I'm going to start tying ahead of my tying point here. That's where the Enricos are tied. Basically go straight up more so than back. Not that they don't go back, don't get me wrong, but this fiber here ties so tight to the shank. And then you get where you're building the body up. You can see that now. You just fold it back. You can see what you're getting done. Okay. Now I'm going to take some of the fluorescent green. Just kind of give it a nice little bit of color in there. Just give it a little contrast. Check your flies are going. If something's too long in there, get them gone. I'm just pulling it in between my scissor blades. So that's looking about where I want it. I'm coming underneath with some more of the pinfish gray. Make sure that's tapered out somewhat. Now you can trim this if it's not the way you want it. I'm going to tie in the bottom corner. I'm bringing this over to this corner. But see how nice and tidy that comes on each side. Make sure that your shank, everything's covered. Your materials are all blended. You don't want to leave the shank exposed. I'll bring in a little more of the wing, diamond wing. On this side, and this, put it over that side. That brightens that right up. Looking really good. Now let's come over the top simply with some Baitfish olive. I'm going to go quarter length. And you just make sure you tie little bits at a time. You can really overdo it with the amount. That's probably the biggest mistake we all make. And get this last one right over the top here on the bottom, on the far side, the top corner, I say. This one's on this top corner. I'll show you in the top what I'm saying. It's actually split. You can see that other one. And then I'll come over with one more down the middle, and that'll be a little longer. And you can either cut it off or tie it back. And I'll just tie that back. That'll all blend in. We're going to trim just a little bit at the end here just to tidy that up. Now get a marker pen on that if you wish. Oh, here's my green, my olive if I want, with a white thread. Get yourself a good wide marker. Color that up. And we can color a thread, get a little more inconspicuous. Tie that off. There, we're done there. Now I'm going to get in my longer scissors. Get a brush. Get these fibers all going back and kind of blend. Brush them back. And I'll come from the front back and just kind of give it a little bit of a trim there. Come off the bottom, just tidy that up. And Ricos are basically all trimmed to shape. I'm kind of letting the shape of my fly, I'm just tidying it up a little bit, but you can see my profile. That's what I'm looking for. Really, that to me, the profile is probably the most important part. I'm just going to tie that down again. I see my thread wasn't secure. I want to make sure my thread's secure, and I would put some head cement on that as well. Like I say, if you leave it white, that's not a deal breaker at all. Make sure you put your UV on there, head cement, whatever you use. Okay. Well, folks, here we're at my finishing table here. I'm going to just show you how I'm putting my eyes on. I want to get this. Here's my marine goop, UV resistant. Make sure that I got the dry stuff off. Might be a little, doesn't stick quite as good. Get a little more out of here. Get a little nice little dollop on my needle. If I fear it's not, if it's too much, there we go. Get something that's neat and manageable. You can see my table there. I'm going from the front back. I'm just going to put that little dollop of that marine goop on there. Bring my eye in. Pupil forward. And push that on. I have a bunch of them over here drying. I do one side first, and then I flip them and do all the other side afterwards. Okay, just to give you an idea, that's when the other eyeball will go on there. So that's really simple, but I haven't had any of those eyes come off. Make sure you put enough of that marine goop on there. You can just see it kind of creeping out the side of the eyeball. And then if you want to just trick it out a little bit as well, just bring in a little ruler and a good chart plot marker pen. We can just give it a little segmentation here over the top. I'm going to bring little ruler, and you can just mark it up. So just gives it a little more look. You can put dots on it, whatever you want to do, but pretty.
We thank Brent for bringing us this great saltwater fly today. We appreciate you visiting us today at Sports Fishing on the Fly. Visit our website for all our pro staff videos and online store along with all our TV shows and pro staff tips.